Before we started recording, Garth, I was watching your interview with the author Holden Shepherd. Which when did you record that? Was that this week?
That was Wednesday night. Yep.
Yeah. What a talent! He's a good interview.
Yeah, he slipped in very easily. It was being a novice in the form. It was a pretty soft entry into sort of fairly long form recorded interview. He's a pro.
He absolutely is, and I think the best interviews are the ones where you ask a question and then you just sit back and you get to ride it. And then also there's a point where you can almost kind of give up on your game plan because
Hmm.
everything they've talked about, they sometimes cover some of the questions that you want to ask, but they also say really interesting things that inspire new
Absolutely.
directions to take it. I thought he had. There was a part of the interview, and you were talking to him about his new book, Yeah, the Boys, which I have to say, I love that title. I think that
Yeah.
is such a good title. And it was. There was a really interesting thing in the interview that I don't want to step on, but talking about being a gay man who likes being in places that you would consider not the places that gay men would like to hang out in quite traditional male areas like the footy club and stuff like that. And it's a really good reminder because I think even today in a more progressive society, you can still kind of get caught up in the cliches of where people exist.
Absolutely. Yeah. And yet, yeah, I think Holden's a really good example of living within a few different sort of subcultures,
Yeah,
sort of exploding those ideas, and then when you do sort of investigate the subcultures,
yeah,
yeah, you're like, yep, of course, makes perfect sense.
yeah,
But yeah, the insights are great. I spent a fair bit of time in a lot of gay bars in the like 2000s.
yeah,
It could be a lot of good memories. A
yeah.
lot of memories I sort of to tease back up from the recesses of
Yeah,
what's left of that part of my brain.
yeah,
But yeah, I think yeah, he's a good. He gives a lot when he talks, and it's great to get some insight into his world and that what his writing's very much. It feels like a bit of therapy for him a lot of
right.
the time. Yeah, as we get into the book, I'm sure we'll talk about that.
Well, that was also interesting what he was talking about his approach to social media, where, he wants to be open, but he learnt some lessons pretty early on about being too open.
Yes.
And sometimes I think in the writing process, it's a safe space to explore a lot of the things that you've experienced in a fictional world, and you know sometimes be able to make sense of them, sometimes be able to explore them, and also sometimes give a lived-in situation a happier landing space than maybe what you experienced in real life.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and yeah, you're right, exactly. Like, yeah, you're reflecting on, situations, building them up, sort of, turning them around a bit, having a, good look at them, being able to sort of inspect them with a bit of hindsight.
Mm,
And I think, yeah, I mean, as Holden talks about, he's coming from the perspective of a guy who was, quite religious, grew up in a small regional town, and finding his path
mm,
time, and moving to Perth eventually,
yeah,
and being in, and then I don't think Perth's got a particularly wild sort of queer scene as such.
mm.
So I imagine it was quite the, I won't speak on his behalf, but yeah, I imagine, yeah, also coming from a small town, and we have a little bit of a moment where we're sort of representing on that front.
Yeah.
And if you
He
watch the
seems,
interview, I've pushed that a little bit further for everyone. So
yeah, it's funny. He seems quite delighted when he clocks that you're both
that's why I wore the
representing.
flannel for the interview. Yeah.
So, what's his latest book about?
Yeah, The Boys is the follow-up to his 2019 novel called
Yep,
Invisible Boys,
yep.
which was actually adapted to a miniseries for Stan. Uh,
Oh, right.
which
Yes.
Holden was on the writing staff for, had the distinction of being one of the few, if only, TV series in Australia to have a fully queer
Yep.
writing staff working on
Right.
it.
Yep.
And Invisible Boys, I guess, was characterized is in the young adult genre.
Yep.
So, aimed at late teens, covers adult topics, but probably not as intensely as the new one, Yeah, the Boys does, which is a contemporary adult fiction novel.
Right.
So yeah, Invisible Boys follows three characters, Hammer, Zeke, and Charlie, as they come of age in a small regional New South Wales town. This and obviously goes through their journeys coming out and their different experiences. Hammer's a football player.
Yep.
Zeke's a young ethnic dude. Charlie's a punk rock guy. So
Yep.
they're all sort of best friends who go through a bunch of seminal life moments. And this catches up with them as 20 something guys, all living in Perth. Hammer's in the AFL. He's about to be potentially outed by someone, a mystery social media bully, I
Yep.
guess. Zeke's working a pretty mundane job at university, getting out to the saunas, having a very promiscuous, rock and roll gay guy lifestyle.
Yep.
Charlie still wants to be a musician, but that's pushing it as well, living in a town like Perth. And they also sort of come into contact with a couple of older guys who are starting up a bar that's a specifically male space for queer guys to come and hang out and meet up, and sort of is exclusive in town, which generates friction with a Instagram influencer who's sort of like questions why there needs to be like a male space in town for that for queer guys.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Which is something we discussed in the interview as well. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's not for the faint-hearted. We open up in like one of the saunas
Yeah.
with Zeke's experiences. It's great. It's like really visceral writing.
Yeah.
Goes straight for the throat. Lots of lot of heart, a lot of really interesting insights for people who may not have been around the queer scene as much,
Yep.
or the gay bars and all the rest. And it felt to me a little bit like, and it's generationally out of step with the book, but it reminded me of sort of Secret Life of Us.
Right.
You remember that show from
Yeah.
20 odd years ago, 25
Yeah.
years ago? In that it's sort of it's got an ensemble cast who are all going through a lot of shit, and it's a slice of life as we sort of travel through things. A personal event, there's no overarching dramatic plot. There's no, nuclear device about to go off or anything, but these are these people coping with life and existing on their terms and learning a bit more about themselves as they sort of get a bit older.
Yeah. Right. So
Yeah,
basically, character is plot.
yeah, character is plot. Yeah,
Yeah. And they're this is about from what I can tell about also young male friendship.
yes, and it's an investigation of masculinity.
Yeah.
And so the different sort of, I guess, a question I asked Holden was about, to an extent, these are sort of aspects of his personality that is sort of fractured out into these characters.
Oh, you know what? I was literally about to ask you, the three characters kind of facets of him.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So, he's a big into, there's the football player who's, very successful in the field. He's on the AFL team, but he's also closeted and doesn't want to participate in the Pride round.
Hmm.
So, a little bit of the politics around, why should I have to be out and become the figurehead
Mm.
for
Yeah.
my sexuality
Yeah.
at sport?
Yeah.
Uh, you
Yeah.
know,
I want to kick a footy. I
yeah,
didn't ask for the responsibility of being a role model in
exactly.
also in an environment that, yeah, you know what, we're celebrating for this round, but what about the
Yeah,
22 other rounds?
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, he investigates the issues around that. The outing is quite harrowing in the sense that,
Mm.
this guy doesn't want this to happen.
Mm.
But this is and you know, thinking about sort of the media and the PR sides of those things as well, and like all the pressure put on a player in that sort of circumstance.
Mm.
Yeah, and the other two characters are definitely, Holden's a Sicilian guy.
Yep. Yep.
Yep. Is lineage. So, the Zeke character also sort of factors into that. Holden's big into sort of, pop punk stuff. So the
Yep.
Charlie character's a big aspect of that and the sort of musical aspirations and those interests. So yeah, there's sort of the sort of triangle of how the characters are representative of the author
Yep.
and how he's sort of separated those out into his individual characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it sounds great. Like the book sounds really interesting, and as I said, the interview was fantastic. It moved along at a rapid rate. I found him so engaging, and I once again I don't want to step on the interview. I'd love people to check it out. I'll post it on the socials for you, and
Cool.
people can watch it in its entirety. But I liked where he was talking about how there's and the topic of toxic masculinity, which absolutely should be at the forefront of something that we need to discuss and we need to engage with and we need to deal with. And but we do have to remember that part of the solution to toxic masculinity is presenting positive masculinity. And this seems like a subject that he not only is championing, but he really has a sense of it and he really has his head around it. And you know, there's a certain tipping point where all you're doing is discussing all the worst aspects of something without offering solutions.
Yes. Yeah, precisely. And that's what the making the art political helps to sort of, bring those issues to the fore and like demonstrate to people that, you don't have to be an asshole.
Yeah, yeah. What? You don't have to be an asshole.
Concept, and I guess in that space, especially the Manosphere and, seeing the Louis Theroux documentary and,
Mm,
seeing all the negative inverted commas role models that you're sort of seeing in the, propped up or given platforms. Holden's definitely a great voice for sort of, questioning those things and, showing people there's another way to go as well.
yeah, absolutely. You know what? The uh, part of the delight of a movie like Project Hail Mary doing so brilliantly at
Yes.
the box office is that there's a if movie star wise, Ryan Gosling's a good role model. And if
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? Like, so I think that's kind of an aspect of that movie that's not discussed as much. It's the spectacle and this and that, etc. But if we can kind of focus in movies and TV, and they don't all have to be idiot fathers like in so many
No,
TV shows. Like
no.
you can, it's. I think Vince Gilligan said it best, where it's time to start, you know, challenging ourselves to write more positive characters as leads and find the way to make them interesting rather than just consistently leaning into bad people or negative types.
Well, this ties into, I mean, Holden, when his book came out, his first book, Invisible Boys, came out in 2019. He had a feud with Bluey because apparently there's a Bluey book that was jostling with him on the charts at the time
Right.
for like bestseller position. I think
Right.
story. This ties into like when I first encountered Bluey, my initial impression was that the dad was going to be a dunce,
Mm.
like Peppa Pig's dad, or like any of those terrible
Yeah.
sort of, we're all going to have a laugh at the shit dad.
Yeah.
And that's where we get a source of our comedy, and
Yeah.
that was what really sold me on Bluey in that regard. It was like,
Yeah.
oh, he's a good dad,
Yeah.
nice
Yeah.
dude. He's not another one of these, horrible, you know, absent morons.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even the children's TV sphere that you end up seeing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It,
insulting.
but it is true. It becomes a cliche and
Yeah,
then becomes a self-perpetuating myth. And Bluey is the prime example of something that
gold standard.
undercuts a lot of your expectations. I think I don't know if I said it to you on this podcast previously or to someone else, but I had a couple of friends who stopped watching Bluey because it was too heteronormative, and I was like everything you love can't be everything. Like
No,
it has to be some things.
they live in
And
Queensland, for fuck's sake.
yeah, but
Yeah,
if like you know what you do, you watch Bluey, and then you find something that's not heteronormative to show your kid.
correct.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Stop putting all the pressure on one thing to tick
yeah.
every fucking box that makes you feel good about shit. It's
You know what
already
Peppa,
undercutting
you know what
people's
Peppa Pig is?
expectations.
Peppa Pig's a show about like the dad goes off into his shed and drinks himself into a coma every night because he's so sad about his home life.
Oh, right. I did not know that.
They're pretty
Suddenly,
much
yeah, maybe I'll
just
have
the
to give,
subtext.
yeah, maybe I'll give Peppa Pig a bit of a go.
He's a bullied man.
Yeah. Wow. All right. Holden Shepherd. Yeah, the boys. That looks fantastic. So, and where will people be able to see the interview?
I am going to do. It'll be up on YouTube
Yep.
when the book comes out today. When the podcast comes out,
Yep.
and there'll be a range of. I'll do a few snippets for Instagram and Blue Sky, and there'll
Yep.
be the full interview will be up on YouTube. And I'm sure Holden will use his far superior social media now to circulate it everywhere that we're not.
Yes, absolutely.
It's on
I'll,
TikTok, and who's going to go there?
Yeah, I'm certainly not. I will also post it. I'll post it on the front of the Patreon page
Cool.
and stuff like that. So
Right.
it's a really good interview, and I thought he was an absolute delight. So I think if you're a fan of his work or you're not across it, either way, it's worthwhile checking out.